All right, X, formerly known as Twitter, we are here. We're here to pound the pavement. We're here to we're here to discuss what people say, accuse us, well, accuse you more than anyone on not discussing the negative news, particularly the EMA rejection. So you did a full tweet storm this weekend, which I read, and you said, we're going to go point for point, and you're actually someone crazy enough to actually read that thing, which I didn't realize that because it's not until recently the FDA releases now, thanks to Prasad and Macquarie, they actually are telling the public why something is rejected, right? But I guess in Europe, that was the norm.
It is. It is.
Uh,
And typically, there's like an amount of time, certain amount of time that after a rejection or the sponsor withdrew, which that's the case with Iovance, they gonna release the report. And so what Iovance did was, basically EMA said we're not gonna approve, and so they said okay, then let us withdraw, and we'll just tell us what we want to do, and then we'll go from there. So they want to do some virtual arm and things like that.
mhm.
So I'm not sure how that's gonna go, but for me, um, first of all, EMA made a mistake. I mean, it's a terrible mistake, and the patients in Europe is gonna be the ones who have to pay, because especially after it was rejected, and then the 5 year data came out, the five real world 5 year data came out, and it broke down the different populations, and it showed just impact was just amazing, and it's so much better than what it did in phase two, the trial, the pivotal trial that it got approval for. And so, you know, I was reading the book today. I couldn't wait. There was a delay in shipment, and then even not even chapter one. It was kind of like an intro, but
Great book. I think everyone required reading. It took me a while because I read slow and I read a lot of books at once, but I'm also finishing Marty Macary's book, which is more macro, but this one was perfect. Prasad's was perfect for oncology investors, particularly. I mean,
because he's an
everything's about
oncologist.
oncology.
Yeah,
Everything he looks at, everything he prefers to see. Yes, they're a little bit idealistic, but guess what? Like, he didn't write that book thinking he's going to be the head of CBER,
right.
but now he is. And now you see his ideology, even though maybe it would be toned down a little. Maybe. It remains to be seen. But by the way, did you see? I think this is what people are afraid of. Did you see that Intelia, the Hy's Law, that stock dropped today 45% from the 3 times liver enzyme elevated?
Wow, I didn't see that.
45%. I think people are afraid whenever there's something new. This is why it's so important we sit down and do this.
Yep.
Whenever there's something new, people are afraid of the unknown. We're not oncologists, we're not
Yep.
doctors. Like, what's our 3 times upper limit of normal liver enzyme? Like, what is that version for IOVA? People are looking,
Right.
and they don't know how to articulate it well. They're not scientific, so they point to the EMA and say they must have found something that we don't know about. This is bad news. So I thought it was a great idea for you to want to do this on a Monday.
Yeah, because first of all, we knew about the rejection long ago, several months ago, but we don't know the reason why. But basically, the company just summed it up for us. Okay, what we provided was not sufficient enough, and they want a certain set of data. We don't have it. There's nothing we can add. It's easier for us to withdraw the application altogether, and find another route. to go. And at the end of the letter, EMA did say that it is open to the sponsor, to Iovance, to resubmit with new data, or to Advance 301 is designed with FDA and EMA. So what does that mean? That means that if we're going to wait for Advance 301 or another trial, because there's so many trials going on involving Amtagvi, these different, arm and sleeves and all of that cohorts, they call them, right? And so one of them could meet the criteria, okay? And so, but they're not going to say we will never accept anything like this. They didn't say that. They actually feel, you know what, sooner or later, MTAC actually going to be accepted at some point, okay? If not second line, it's going to be front line. The front line data with Keytruda is amazing.
Even in the EMA, you think?
It's going to be accepted in the EU at some point. Yeah.
Even before we get into the nitty gritty of that, I guess rejection, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Is in the light of the America First kind of agenda, and there was this crazy statistic infographic I saw on X this weekend. The amount of R&D spending ratio compared to drug price consumption of drugs in the US versus anywhere else, it's almost like negligible, the revenues anywhere else but the US, because of the pricing structures of a lot of these companies, especially in Europe.
Yeah.
So before we even analyze the results, maybe, or the reasons, because people are not so worried about Europe, they're more worried about the United States having a similar rejection. Like, in my opinion, maybe I'm naive, but Europe doesn't seem like a big deal. Like, first of all, they don't really pay for things the way we do. This is not a cheap product. I know when you analyze it, okay, compared to like the constant treatments and cycles, yeah, but people don't look at it that way. They look at it like, as this affordable. I think no one can really say it is, but is it important? Is the EU even important?
Yeah. So I keep bringing up this point, and this point brings back home everything of how undervalued Iovance is at this current price. Okay. So with Amtagvi's first approval for second line metastatic melanoma, just in the US alone, take out Canada, Australia, Switzerland, UK, and EU, the company could make from 1 billion to 1.5 billion annually.
Wow.
So what does that mean? Take everything away, all of the other approvals, take anything else after Amtagvi away. Okay, the first indication away, and you are still gonna have over 1 billion of revenue. Take everything else away. Okay, so to go back to that point. Okay, so now, do we want other approval? Hell yes, we want other approval. Now, how big is EU? It's actually big, but only cherry on top. Okay, if it happens, great. It's going to be a lot of revenue in addition to what's already going on. But you have UK, Canada, Switzerland, Australia. Those are big markets too. Okay, so yeah, but EMA is behind on the US on this. And there's another thing about real world evidence or real world data. They are also behind the US on this. this current FDA, I'm going to tweak something out in a little bit here, that they are going to really harness the power of those set of data to support approval and things like that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I would love for EU to approve Amtagvi, but I guarantee you right now, the focus is not getting EMA approval at Iovance. The focus is still accelerating Amtagvi launch, okay? Because again, you know, Canada is coming up, so we may be seeing some revenue from there starting in Q4 if they could move quickly, okay? And then of course, and then the UK, and then Australia and Switzerland too, okay? And I believe those will accept. Especially, I'm telling you that 5-year retrospective data is so important because it just, you cannot beat real world data. Because just like Dr. Prasad's book, he's accusing companies of rigging the trial.
Yep.
You can't rig real world data, okay? Especially when you break it down into 2 lines or fewer lines of treatment, or 3 or more, and you have separate sets of data, and then you have overall data. You can't beat that. So what it's saying, and that's why I tweeted out a long time ago, this 5-year data, it's a game changer in so many ways. It helps Amtagvi and Iovance as a company in so many different ways that it's just not just a set of data. It is validation for treatment and get patients to get treated sooner. Doctors did not have anything like that prior. They had to be reminded, they had to be pushed toward that treatment. But now they actually have evidence, because doctors, as you know, Dan, they love practicing medicine. It's called evidence-based medicine, okay? That's their favorite tactic, okay? Show it to me. Hey, let me wait 1 year and see how it does. And that's exactly what they got. 1 year after launch, they got that 5-year data. And so, yes, so go back to the question, EU rejection, we've moved way beyond that. Now, notice too, Canada approved Canada approved Amtagvi after EMA rejection. Okay, so take that as you may. And another
That's important.
Yeah, and so.
But what was the basis of the EMA rejection for the novice?
Yeah. So
people?
yeah. Okay. So they were saying, and it is very upsetting as I was reading it. I was on fire, because it's like, man, you don't get it, do you? What they're saying is, hey, the manufacturing consistency. You know, some batches got 9 billion, some batches 72 billion. It's a totally different thing. And then there are 7 to 8% of patients die, you know, during treatment or after treatment. Okay, and then what else?
So let's go with the first one. So the inconsistency in the number of lymphocytes per treatment, which is autologous, so it's your own body.
So
right?
Again, this is so upsetting, because the thing is, EMA knows about TIL treatment. EMA knows about what Dr. Rosenberg did all the way in 1980. Everything that Iovance has right now is brought from his research. Everything, except for the new, new generation TIL, with engineer PD-1 inactivated, IL-12, tethered, TIL, and things like that. That's new. But everything else, the lymphodepletion treatment before TIL infusion and IL-2, it was exactly why it was brought on into Iovance. And you notice that any other company that wants to get into this space, they cannot duplicate that. So they found ways to kind of get around it, like Obsidian. They go into TIL. They have this, OBX 115 that may not require IL-2, but you don't. If you read the small print, they do the lymphodepletion. They do OBX 115 infusion, which is an IL-15 tether TIL. And then guess what they do after? Instead of IL-2, which they cannot do, because Iovance has that patent, right?
Yeah.
So what they do is low dose chemo. All right, you see here, and then the other company, RP1, they do the injection, but man, that's like an 8-month ordeal, and then after the injection, they have to be on Opdivo infusion for another 20 months or until they stop responding. Okay. Remember, Amtagvi is a one-time treatment. You cannot beat the convenience, okay, of Amtagvi treatment. So, why is it such a hair-pulling experience? Because every patient is a different batch. It's autologous. The patient actually is providing the active ingredient, which is their own T cells.
Right.
Okay. So for them to say, "Oh man, these batches are so much, variety,
Discrepancy."
yeah, and so, but the
But
FDA,
they didn't discuss. I didn't read it like you did. They didn't point to the discrepancy in quality necessarily. They just pointed to the discrepancy in the numbers. So
correct.
one patient may get 70 billion, another only 7,
Yep.
and that's where the discrepancy is. And that
Yep.
can vary, like you're saying, person to
Yep.
person, because what if you're more advanced? What if you're less advanced? You're going to have maybe more lymphocytes in there that you can replicate, right?
But another thing the EMA cannot provide evidence for is that 7 billion cells versus that 72 billion cells, okay, that there is a difference in efficacy. Now, if EMA could provide that discrepancy in performance and efficacy, I see their point, but they didn't. Okay, they didn't. Another thing that they said, which is really upsetting, is, well, there's no way of knowing of the efficacy is from the lymphodepletion treatment and IL-2, or from the TIL infusion. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? These patients already failed on chemo. Okay.
They seem to be a little bit behind the 8 ball. Ascending Bio says the EMU request is easy to meet. They provide numbers showing them that persons only live a few months without treatment. I think this is how bureaucratic the EMA is. I don't think they actually care. I think they have their own standards. They're very stubborn. If you look at this, I did some preparation for this podcast. If you look at this website I'm going to share right now, American Medical Journal, okay, November 2024, EU rejects majority of U.S. fast-tracked cancer drug. It's almost like by habit they do that. Like, yes. and this is Prasad to their
American thing almost, man. I mean, don't you get that feel though?
This is how they are, and to the book we opened with, Prasad, I think he's also made some arguments in that book. There's way too many fast track designations, but his argument's totally different. He goes by overall survival, right?
Yeah.
If you can demonstrate that, if you can demonstrate affordability, and if you can demonstrate quality of life improvements. So Amtagvi arguably has two of those three. He says you only need one of those three to get fast track approval by his very strict criteria. So here you can see the EU is just, I guess they're very idealistic when it comes to US fast track. Only US.
Yeah.
So I thought that was important to share, because just to keep it in context for the people out there, they reject the majority. All right.
Yes.
That's a normal thing for them to do.
So the second point. So hopefully I addressed that, that MTech is a living therapy. Okay, it's a dynamic therapy. It's very personalized and individualized. There is no way that you could have two identical batches between two patients. It's an impossibility. So that's why it's shocking that they use that excuse. Okay. Another thing is, oh, there's there are deaths during treatment. Okay. Let me paint this picture for you. All right. These patients are very, very sick. And they would sign papers, I guarantee you, prior to treatment, that this could happen. Remember, as good as Amtagvi is, it's only 31% effective. Okay,
Right.
in phase 2 trial. Don't forget, that means 69% of that group. A lot of things bad happen to them, even though they received Amtagvi. This is how bad, how cruel cancer is.
Especially
Although
mucosal melanoma.
Amtagvi is amazing, and it's like a last line of hope for a lot of patients. But unfortunately, by the time that they progress to stage 4 melanoma, even Amtagvi can only save about 31% of them. Or if they have fewer lines of treatment, we could go up to 61. That means there's still the other 39% bad things happen to them. Okay.
And that will be the flip. They could flip it when they go start later lines and then go earlier lines, like we discussed, which they are doing.
Yep.
So
So
that's important to understand. Like it's the quality of the experience for the patients as well, because if your outcomes are death, no matter what, right? But you don't know, but the odds are against you. Well, it's better to have less back and forth with all these different cycles and more of just maybe you get a 69% chance now instead of a 30. And this is why they're doing the studies. This way exactly why they go later and then earlier. And that's a huge significant jump over the overall survival.
It almost doubled, right? And so but here's the thing, when you and I talked to Chris, Dan, these patients, you have to kind of put their shoes on and walk in their shoes, because they have nothing else. They're not going to say no to Amtagvi. They're going to still say yes to Amtagvi, even if you tell them there's only 10% chance. And actuality, data show they have at least a 31% chance. Okay. But if you were to tell them maybe just 5%, they still will take it. Chris said, 1%, I will take it. Actually, in Chris's number, it's actually even worse. 1 in more than 1 million. He still did everything that he could to get in this trial, even though he's like, it's 1 in 1 million. Okay. So what I'm very upset, and I'm sad too, for patients in the EU. Okay. So for those, man, there's nothing else, and if they have the ability to pay, they probably come to the US, and live here and get treatment here. But other than that, there is nothing else. Okay. And, and so, yeah, so I'm really upset that EU didn't approve Antagly, not because I'm afraid of the potential revenue, because again, back to what the 1 billion to 1.5 billion just in the US alone. Okay, so technically you don't need the EU. Okay, but I'm thinking beyond the money. I'm thinking about a patient, a family that could have received treatment for Amtagvi, but they cannot. They have to wait at least another year.
Right.
So,
I think this company is doing things correctly, and I'm glad you got the book Malignant, because he clearly talks. He's not different from the EU. It's just their criteria for why they're rejecting or why everything shouldn't be fast track designation is very different. The EU seems to be rooted in tradition and bureaucracy, whereas Prasad's is rooted in metrics that matter to patients, which is number one, overall survival, number two, quality of life. And so when a lot of companies rely on these surrogate endpoints, they develop this clinical risk premium. So when they're only looking at things like progression-free survival or just response rate, and the objective response rate is just a little bit better than the next thing, but it costs 10 times more. Well, no, Prasad argues, and maybe rightfully so, that shouldn't be the criteria, because what the criteria should be the overall survival and the quality of life.
Yep.
Right? Not the progression-free survival.
Then, what Amtagvi brings to the table and what Iovance brings to the table is so attractive to me, because these patients, man, they live in these infusion chairs. They live in hospitals. They live in these radiation, they lay on the table and having to be tied down sometimes. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Okay. And this RP1, treatment from RPL, I hope they get approved. You know why? Because we're going to need all the tools we can get. But the thing,
I agree.
If you're going to be complaining about MTIV treatment protocol, think about what RPL, the patient have to go through. Okay, RP1.
Yeah.
So they inject that oncolytic drug into the tumor. But the thing is, you have to go through, about 8 of those injections. Okay. And then, but the thing is, there is the difference in performance and efficacy depending on the depth of the tumor and the depth of the injection. So there's some so can you imagine what the EMA is gonna do, how they're gonna deal with this?
There shouldn't even, someone should look into it if it's even being done in the EU. I wouldn't even run it through the EU if I was running that company.
Right. And then of course it has to be used in combination with Opdivo, which if you use it in second line, the immune checkpoint inhibitors already getting slaughtered in front line already anyways. But then you have to keep getting infusion, every 2 weeks or so in the hospital. So
this is exactly, I'm glad you brought this. This is exactly what Prasad argues. He says, prioritize what matters. This is his quote, okay? I know you maybe didn't get to this part. And the people who will never read the book, just watch this. Watch us, and you got this, okay? The purpose of cancer medicine, says Prasad, is to use as few drugs as possible for as little time to minimize side effects while simultaneously maximizing survival and quality of life. That is a direct quote from this head of CBER, not just anyone.
Hey, everybody listen, everybody watching. Dan did an AI video on the book. Dan, if you don't mind retweeting that, and I'll
I
retweet.
will.
I think it's worth watching.
Thank
But
you.
if you got a chance, you need to read this book. You want to invest in Iovance. I tweeted out that real gold doesn't fear a test of fire. And if you want to put Iovance through a tough test, Prasad is the test. Okay. So, and he's all about innovation. He's all about quality of life. He's all about what? One-time treatment, quality of life. Okay. And so when you keep getting injections into, into the cancer, into the tumor, and then have you go back and back and back and back, and then you have to be on Abdivo infusions, you know, and until you fail.
He makes this arguments like these progression-free survival. Okay, you demonstrated that in this study you live long. Let's say 2 weeks longer. Progression-free survival. It looks like a big deal, right? Statistically significant. Well, you look 9 months later, both patients are dead. What good does that do? Progression. It's just an arbitrary checkpoint. Like, okay, that you check until 6 months. They live 2 weeks longer. That sounds good, but 9 months later, you look, they're both dead.
And unfortunately, Iovance has to play that game because in their trial, they look at everything. Okay, ORR, DOR, duration of response, and then survival-free, progression-free survival, and then OS, overall survival. So they look at everything, right? So that's good. But back to the point about EU approval, don't worry about it. It's gonna get approved at some point. They'll work it out. But
they reject everything.
Yeah. So it's just, again, go back to the point that just the U.S. alone in second-line melanoma, they could generate more than $1 billion already. And so now and then of course I addressed the variability in the batches. That's ridiculous. Okay, that is ridiculous. It's autologous. It's living. It's personalized. You can't expect things like that. So remember, the FDA is the standard. Okay, and then the fact that Health Canada approved Antacvi after EU rejection, that should tell you something too.
I didn't know that. That's a very good point you brought up.
Yeah. So anyway, now what I'm very excited about, and I'm telling you, I'm wearing shorts right now because things are about to get very dangerous for me. Okay, because if you take any random micro cap, ticker, okay, and they have a positive non-small cell lung cancer pivotal phase 2 data, it's going to run about 500%. Okay. I don't know what's going to happen with Iovance, how high it's going to run. I really don't care because I know it's going to run pretty high. I just don't know by how much. Now, what I'm saying is the next coming calendar. And I tweeted on this that I'm going to reveal something very interesting about the Q3 earnings. All right. If this earning is positive, like I think it is, then it sets up a foundation and a table for this ticker to run massively, because the biggest concern for Iovance is scaling and margins, right? We've got to see improvement on those two areas, all right? If Q3 earnings shows that, shorts are in serious trouble. We will never see $3 again. We may not ever see $5 again.
What would be a reasonable metric to look at when, like, for an improvement? Would you say?
Okay, before I do that,
Huh.
let me tell you what I'm going to reveal is interesting. Is this Q3? Even though we only have historical record of one previous Q3 of Amtagvi launch, is the best quarter. Okay. In Q1, in Q2 of 2024, revenue of Amtagvi and Proleukin, 31.1 million. Okay, so that's Q2. Q3 2024, and then we're about to come up with Q3 2025 here. Q3 2024, they did 58.6 million, and 88.4% improvement. Okay, so that is something to look out for, because Q3 typically is pretty solid for them. All right, now, why do I feel bullish about Q3? Because Q2 show a 22% improvement already over Q1. All right, so it's the momentum here, all right, is building. And when you have an historical record of a good Q3, there is a very good chance that Q3 is going to be very good. Now, analysts is expecting like $76 million. All right, that's a pretty steep increase from previous quarter, from Q2, which they made 60 million. All right, so a 76, meaning it's going to be about 25% increase. All right, that is tough to do, but I think they're going to do it. I think we are going to see, I think we may see number 8. Okay, so I think we may see in the 80s. All right, that is very bullish. However, I also could see improvement, but not as good as analysts expect. And don't worry about analysts' expectation on this. Amtagvi is unique because the treatment is very complex. It's very expensive. You have to have all this set up. But what you want to see is solid improvement. So I want to see at least a 20% improvement over Q2. So if I'm seeing anything in the 70s, I'm happy. All right, so 71, 72 or whatever, okay, then that's pretty solid. All right, because this is when Inspire Gene barely started. All right, the PR came out September 15th. All right, but what I'm excited about, and then also too, the reason why I think we may see the 80s number is that in the previous quarter, they already mentioned that community hospitals are already accelerating in sending patients. All right, so I'm seeing solid momentum here. I'm expecting at least in the 70s. All right, but it could go into the 80s, and if it's that way, then we probably won't see $5 again. Especially now, it sets the stage up, and it answers key question. Oh, and then margins. I want to see margins improve. So last quarter, margin was 30%. I want to see 35 and up. All right. So I want to see both of those areas improve. And I think we will, because again, community hospitals, they have a lot of patients, so that's volume. Number two, they don't have to refer out to other ATCs anymore. They can treat their own patients. Okay. What does that mean? That means the patients are healthier, because when they refer out, a lot of times those ATCs make the patient go through another round of treatment to satisfy insurance requirement, and then by then the patient gets sicker, and then the drop-off rates, goes higher. That means lower margin. Okay,
Right.
so there is a domino effect when you have community hospitals, treating their own patients. You have Inspire Gene, doing all the prioritization, for them. They don't have to do all the legwork. They're doing PA. And then the fact that they now don't have to refer out, you don't understand how massive that is. It is massive, because, and by the way, this is what I do. I've done this for 18 years in this industry. Pharmaceutical sales, this entire process, I understand it inside and out. I know what the process is like. I know what improvements look like. Okay. And I am telling you that Inspire Gene partnership, Inspire Gene by McKesson, that is a game changer. Why? Because they don't serve as a specialty pharmacy for the community hospital, but they serve as specialty pharmacy for all existing ATC. Okay, every ATC in the entire country, they now can buy Amtagvi from Inspire Gene, and not having to put up the front money to Iovance, not knowing they're going to be reimbursed or not. You have no idea how of a game changer that is.
Because Inspirogene is the one taking care of the reimbursements on their end. They're basically fronting the money, but then they're subsidizing it because they're going to negotiate it on there.
Yes, and they and by the way, they do much better job getting coverage, getting authorized than their own community hospitals or ATC. Okay, because
it's similar to NVIDIA, fronting money to their Mag 7 to purchase the chips, and some startups to purchase the right.
Yeah, and that's it's gonna make the entire selling process so much smoother, and there's gonna be so many patients in the queue, and don't make light of the fact that Iovance for Q3 2025 earnings moved it to pre-market. Okay, that I think they are confident about this earning. And I like pre-market, earnings. You're good or bad.
Why is the rationale that why is the folklore that it's not a good thing?
Yeah, it's kind of like delivering bad news during aftermarket and then go home kind of thing.
Right.
There's less trading volume and things like that. That's just, but during pre-market, you give good news, and now they have the entire day to invest in the company.
So will this be pre-market or post this next quarter?
This one is the first pre-market.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
But you're saying not to give it too much credence. It's just whatever. It's
It's just, I feel positive about it. It doesn't matter if it's pre or after, but it's something to think about too. And so, I mean, again, people are asking, well, is lung data going to be positive? Nobody asked about endometrial cancer data. Nobody asked about IOV 4001, the PD-1 inactivated TIL.
Hey, I had a friend send me something on Facebook from someone in a bladder cancer study from Gavi.
Oh, really?
Bladder, I don't know if it was, I have to look at it, but it said bladder cancer was gone in this person, and they were posting in this TIL related group. So I have to look into that. I don't recall them doing bladder cancer or mentioning anything. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, no,
Actually.
I don't know anything about that. Now they may be doing something with IOVA 5001. Okay, so
Tumor infiltrating lymphocyte, yeah, for treat bladder cancer that didn't respond to BCG.
what is the molecule name though? The generic name? Did they say?
They didn't say. It's a Facebook post, so I don't know if there's another TIL type of
You
therapy.
Yeah, I mean, their Iovance is looking now. They didn't specify, but they're saying they're gonna look into all types of solid cancer. So
Right, right.
very well
But
could be.
TIL, didn't Iovance kind of pioneer this name? TIL? Tumor infiltrating
No,
lymphocyte
it's
or
yes. They did not come up with the name, but it is anybody could use a TIL name. It's
okay,
not patented because it's just a term to describe the treatment.
I
Uh,
got you. Okay.
like Obsidian could use they use that term TIL.
So it might have been a different group, but yeah, the guy's completely um from given months to live is,
You could actually message that person or comment and ask them if they know the name of the sponsor. You
I'm
know.
gonna ask my friend because I got this from a friend who got it from a Facebook. It's a Facebook screenshot of
Yeah.
a group. So I could reach out to this person.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to do.
And another thing is it feels so good too that we can't say much, but we have Iovance employees that may follow us.
Yeah, yeah. Can't
And
say names, but shout out to y'all.
yeah,
They say, by the way, the culture. I asked. Matter of fact, let me see if he replied. I said, "What's the culture like there?" But this was a guy on my podcast before.
yeah.
Had no idea he was going to work for Iovance. He was just a research nurse. Um, what's the
Very,
culture like there? What does it feel like? He said, "Focused, purposeful, enthusiastic, and anticipatory, with a winky face."
yes.
What? That's gotta mean something.
Yes.
That's gotta mean something.
You know what it means, Dan? You and me, we don't have enough shares, baby.
That's, I think, what
We
it.
don't have enough shares, all right?
I actually joined IOVA just before their Canadian approval, so I'm unable to comment on anything in regards to IOVA, but there
Because
are interesting times ahead.
he was mentioning, because of my post, one of my posts about the EFT treatment,
Mhm.
cancer treatment, I believe. He follows me too, but
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
yeah,
shout out to all the hardworking people. This is the thing about the shorts. There's people's lives,
yep,
patients. That's despicable to short a biotech, in my opinion. But there's employees that work around the clock,
yep.
countless hours for this shit. And over here, people are just short. It's like a numbers on a graph. Otto says the short interest is not as high as it was in July when it popped to $4. It's still too high though, and quarter 3 is more material. So our trial update. So I think you're right that the stock will stay up, but I'd be interesting to see a technical analysis of the magnitude of July squeeze. In other words, how much of that spike was shorts closing? $8 in a short few days after earnings would be a pleasant surprise. I'd be happy. Are you
Listen,
taking profits if it hits $8?
I
Just hypothetical.
I am Otto. I'm sorry to inform you, but I'm not happy with $8, man.
Do you do
Because
like remember Vivi said she takes profits on the way up? Do you do that, or do you look for a specific like target?
no, in the case of Ivan, there's so many dominoes that affect each other. All right. So let me give you the domino. And this is why I'm not gonna do that. Okay. I'm not gonna do that until double digits. All right. So here's why. Positive earning. That's gonna get us to about 350 to 4. Non-small cell lung cancer, if that's positive, that's deadly for sure. So that's going to be at least 8. But
Okay.
here's the thing. Why wouldn't I sell at 8? Because non-small lung cancer is much more difficult than endometrial cancer. So that's why I would wait for endometrial cancer data. And why? And then that would be about 10. And then the IOV 4001 in second line metastatic melanoma. This one is like Amtagvi and Keytruda combined. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in clinical trial, preclinical trial, it has shown that it is more effective, okay, by itself than Amtagvi and Keytruda separately and used together. Okay. So, anyways, because endometrial is actually a little bit easier than lung cancer, if lung cancer is positive, what do you think endometrial cancer is going to be? And if Amtagvi is kicking ass like this by itself, what do you think a PD-1 inactivated Amtagvi is going to be like?
I don't know. I mean, that's why they have to do the trials. I think they have to, this is the game we got to play, man. But you're right in this one.
And this is why you follow me.
Yeah.
Because this is what happens when you understand the science. Okay. This is what happened when you understand the MOA, what impacts what cancer receptors, this and that, okay? What chemical reactions, because if you don't, then you have to wait until the news comes out and then you may buy in. But what you know in advance.
And I feel you.
In advance.
I feel what you're saying because we're both AQST holders as well. And we've got a binary event coming up that I think the market feels very positive about. We flipped Spry, I think, the market cap recently. But that's still like a binary. There's one product, right? Maybe that alopecia one, but it's a maybe because it's on hold. They did indicate they're going to start again site selection visits and all that stuff for the dermatology sites. So that's bullish. But this is like 12. I mean, how many trials going on? There's like a lot, 22 or something like that. There's a lot of studies happening.
So,
and it's already a business like AQSD. We're not talking anywhere so far about profit margins.
Right.
It's all one side of the spectrum, R&D. This is both R&D, sales, manufacturing, which AQSD also has. But this, I could see how this is not a binary event.
It's not. And this is, and some people view it as binary. But when you have 5 binary events together, it's not binary. Okay? Binary means yes or no with one event. All right? But when you have earnings, 3 sets of data, okay, 3 sets of data, and then updates on Switzerland approval process. So in combination, there are 5, though that's not binary. It's basically, we use this in stock trading community all the time on X, like a volcanic eruption waiting to happen, or a tsunami. This is what it is, okay? And so it's definitely not binary because, again, like I said, it's even if you take everything out, okay, negative lung data, negative endometrial data, negative IOV 4001, but the company still in the future gonna produce more than $1 billion worth of revenue on Amtagvi. You see how undervalued.
Let's just say they forget the rest and they just figure out mucosal melanoma and they figure out how to scale it.
Yeah,
The price does not match up even to that at this point. So
exactly.
Mango Paris says, "Hey guys, my simple thesis: IOVA fake out spike, wide base, earnings trigger, parabolic move. Just watching whether the float is getting tighter or not. Then the final leg can be generational when the setup is real. Hope this time the setup is real, meeting the guidance and PM." And then Trump Jong Un, maybe our biggest fan out there in North Korea. Shout out to you. Not selling until it hits $20 or a buyout, whichever comes first. Need a Lambo after all the roller coaster rides. What color Lambo would you get? That's the question.
Yeah. Mine would be dang. Mine would be silver.
You like the silver one? I
What
wouldn't
about
get
you?
one. I got a T-Rex already. I got the Hellcat Ram.
Oh,
That's
really?
fun enough for me. Yeah. I would buy more nuclear NKLR. Fuck a Lambo. Or when the crypto
Dude,
crashes again, buy some Bitcoin.
for those who are watching, I basically slapped Dan on text messaging. I said, Dan, I never want to hear you say you're broke again when I release music. And then you responded, facts.
I mean, there's degrees of wealth, I'm just trying to catch up to you, but yeah, it's we use the term lightly, I guess.
Speaking of buyout, Dan, dude, it's M&A season in full swing.
Yeah,
Okay?
I reposted your thing today. Like, I'm seeing it in the studies I'm doing. I'm working in the space. You guys look around. I'm in a research clinic. Like, we have lab kits everywhere. Like, we already had 2 of our company we're working for get bought out by big pharma.
Yeah.
One by Novartis, one by AstraZeneca. They send you this letter stating, "Hey, we're keeping the same team, but we are now known as Novartis." So it's I know it's anecdotal on my end, but I'm feeling it, and I expect the same to be in the market. Like Iova, Aquestive, these are attractive.
There is no company that's more built to be sold than Iovance.
And to Merck, it's almost a marriage.
Yeah, I mean, the day that Wayne Rothbaum buys into the company and change management and all of that, and he keeps buying shares, he didn't sell it when it was 18.
Who
Then
did he get from the book Bad Blood? Who did he get that first company to get bought by AstraZeneca, right?
Yes.
In the book.
Yeah, it was. But he didn't sell at 18. He bought more at 9, 15. So think about
his average is like $12.
Well, I figured out. Well, there were some buys at $5 level as well. So his average is actually about 6 or 7. Then
okay.
I did when I said he didn't sell at 18. I didn't say he bought in at 18. I mean his average about 6 or 7.
Okay.
But he did not sell at 18. He bought more at 9. So But anyways.
Whenever your average is 3 times less than Wayne Rothbaum, I think you're doing good.
Yeah.
As a general rule.
Yeah, and so man, this Iovance, you will never see Iovance becoming a $30 billion company because it will be some other company. Unless they bought it and they kept it separately, which I doubt it. But you're not gonna see that day. But the pipeline that Iovance has, it will get to that point of $30 billion because there's so much promise. And if you just research Iovance a little bit and see what MTAC is doing in combination with Keytruda in frontline melanoma and frontline non-small cell lung cancer, it is unbelievable. okay, 65% ORR, 64% ORR, versus only 30 something with, Keytruda by itself is unbelievable what Amtagvi can do. And it's a one-time treatment. So, I'm very bullish. And so I look forward to this earning. I believe it's going to be really good. And the thing is, speaking of domino, then Iovance will not be bought out unless it could show that sales will be improving and margins can improve.
Good point.
Okay, so if it doesn't show improvement, it's not going to be sold out. All right. Another thing. All right, it will not be sold out unless they get positive non-small cell lung cancer, because that's where the money is. All right, as much as Iovance will make from melanoma, they're gonna make a lot, but huge cash is in the non-small cell lung cancer group.
And supposedly it's easier to get. You don't have to fight for it, even though they have the McKesson affiliate doing the fighting on their behalf. But the non-small lung cancer somehow gets less fighting involved.
Well, because it's so deadly.
Yeah,
it is so deadly, and the unmet need is so huge. But so if they get approval for second line non-small cell lung cancer,
when do you think we find out this? You're talking just fast track approval, or you're talking regular, like
Yeah, I tweet about this. I believe if data is positive, they're gonna do everything they can in asking the FDA to grant them the national priority review voucher, which cuts down approval from 1 to 2 months, instead of the accelerated approval that they are already in the process of applying, of 6 months, right? But they want to cut it down to 1 or 2. I think they can do that.
And maybe that's something that you get acquired. I've invested in biotechs that have sold those vouchers.
So, but I don't think you can sell this one. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not meant to be sold. It is meant to get the drug on the market because of the huge unmet need to save people. It's not to, hey,
in the past others were selling these things, no? But
that is different. That is the pediatric voucher. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, those are on average about $100 to $105 million. So Dawn, day one, sold for 108. Export sold for like 102 or something like that.
Gotcha.
But this voucher is different from that one. It's still that one still exists. This one is not to be sold. This one is to be used because they want the drug to be on the market. All right.
Okay.
So
thanks for clarifying that, because that's
sure.
Sure.
So but yeah, and so very exciting future for Iovance, and if non-small cell data is positive and looks really good, now Merck is going to be, or AstraZeneca, or BMS, Bristol Myers Squibb, is going to be looking at Iovance in a totally different angle. All right. Because when you're talking about non-small cell lung cancer market, it's 6 to 7 times larger than melanoma. Endometrial cancer is only about double, almost double that of melanoma.
And then head and neck cancer, even smaller, right? So
yeah. So I mean, the future is amazing for Iovance. With a treatment this good, there is no way Iovance is going to be out of business. Even if they did, they're going to sell all of their assets, and that's going to be at least $1 or $2 billion. So
Well, now I'm gonna look into this bladder cancer thing and see what the hell they did.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
Last one, okay. We have to do it for Trumpo Jong-un. He's our biggest fan, I think, by far. I get confused when you say Wayne Rothbaum's average is $6. Why would he go through all this over the years? Just the 2 or 3x, assuming a buyout at 20. What's his real takeaway from IOVA?
Well,
Hard to speak for Wayne, but can you try?
it's hard to know what he's thinking, and the fact that he didn't sell any shares at 18 tells me that he knows he feels very bullish about this company, and I feel like if he's going to sell it, it's going to be at least $10 billion. Okay, I believe $10 billion is going to be a starting point, especially if he gets positive non-small cell data. He's going to be asking for a higher price.
Well, especially
And
with the XBI
yeah,
roaring
and rightly
now.
so. And rightly so. He should demand more if
Yeah.
if we get positive non-small cell data, because you have to remember too, Amtagvi is already demonstrated unbelievable efficacy in front line already.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so so of all of the cancer, melanoma, non-small cell lung cancer, and endometrial cancer, and other types, Iovance always takes the hardest battle first. Okay,
Right. Right.
second line, and then front line. Second line, front line. So, yes. So, and especially with interim data that we're getting, front line is basically in the bag already. All right.
Well,
So
and that's smarter to do because the front line you have to prove overall survival, and the
yeah,
other ones you just have to do the ORR, right,
yeah,
which are easier and cheaper.
yeah.
To get to Wayne Rothbaum, I mean, if you read the book Bad Blood, um, he enjoys this. So, why would he go through all this over the years? Like, it's not like you and I having to hold this and go.
Yeah.
We don't
Well,
have
if
control
you
over the company. He
if
does.
you read the book too, yeah, Dan, you're right. He doesn't need any of this actually.
No,
He's a multi-billionaire.
he likes it though. He
He
enjoys it.
loves it.
Yeah,
He's a workaholic. This
yeah,
guy cannot stop working.
yeah.
If you read the book, you
He
will
doesn't want
understand.
Lambo.
And if you read the book, you will understand that he will never let Iovance fail.
Yeah.
He is so competitive, and he's sunk millions and millions of dollars in this. Okay, so the fact is you have an average, if you buy in now, that is so much lower than a multi-billionaire and one of the smartest biotech investors.
Yeah.
That says something right there too.
This is not a dude to shoot the shit, drink a 6-pack, buy a Lambo. Like, this guy actually he enjoys restructuring. He enjoys chaos. He enjoys tough talk negotiation. Like, the dude doesn't let up even on his employees. Say what you want about him personally, but he's successful as hell when it comes to this biotech stuff. So
Well, yeah,
that's
and
why.
I've said it before, Dan. This dude is not a guy that you want to be out dinner with.
Nah.
Okay.
Or much
Uh,
less work for. Can you imagine the
yeah.
stress you would go under if you're his number one lieutenant?
Yeah.
Hell no, man.
Hell no. But the thing is, that being said, that Iovance is being run in a very tight ship. I
Of
mean,
course.
you can't relax.
No.
So that also makes me bullish about the company as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
And it's meant for, because of his high stress, it's almost like it's created with the end in mind of it's eventually going to be another company's problem to deal with, because the byproduct of all that is staff turnover. Like, even though my friend somehow said the culture is very good, focused, like It didn't go down to where his level, but I know reading the Bad Blood book on the higher level executive levels, those people don't last very long in a Wayne Rothbaum led company because of the high stress involved.
And another thing that makes me very bullish about this company too is the new hiring of Reagan Klima, the new VP for access and access policy. She is such a go-getter.
She's going to be going through the stress.
Kind of person. She is that rock bomb kind of person. And that's the kind of you need to be in front of insurance companies negotiating with them. Mm-hmm. All right. And that's what makes me so bullish about this. Another thing is, if this is a sinking ship and sales are decreasing, they're not going to be doing that. They're not going to, and she's not going to jump ship. But I think that things are ramping up really well with Inspire Gene and, specialty pharmacy. Now they feel like future indications are coming. They need a really good, or market access person. And this is the one. She's really good. So I'm excited about that too. So that's a lot lined up for Iovance. I'm very bullish about. And hell no, I'm not selling at the $8. Hell no. No way.
Well, I'm just going with what Vivi said. She says sell on your way up. But I think you have to look at each one individually and have enough conviction to actually understand what you're holding, right?
Yeah. And okay, so and then AQST, which mine love, and we already kind of touched base on that. It is kind of binary. It's actually pretty binary. And let me say this up front, all right? What ARS did, SPRY did, in that citizen petition thing that they filed was very dirty. But unfortunately, and I have to cover this, unfortunately, that letter is in the FDA's ear. All right? They have to look and examine the letter. They have to examine, should we do what this letter recommends? Those questions were not there prior to that letter. So there is a little bit of the additional risk here that's brought on by ARS. I, however, still believe that NFM will be approved. There is no way in hell that NFM will not be on the market. It's an impossibility. Now, what may happen? Many of you may remember that NFM was given priority review, priority access, priority accelerated review, priority review. So what that means is that the review time is the same, 10 months, but they have open communications with the FDA. All right. So if there's anything that the FDA wants them to do extra, they could ask Aquestive to do before or after. Okay. They could say, you know what, we can go ahead and approve only if you agree to do this trial while promoting NFL. And that happens all the time. And that's what SPRY thought they got from the FDA. That agreement. Apparently they didn't. They got a CRL. Worst case scenario is Aquestive got a CRL and having to do some type of trial.
It looks like maybe a cardiovascular trial if what
Yeah.
ARS is purporting, that there's a cardiovascular effects.
Yes. But that's BS too, because that's what epinephrine does. it increased heart rate, increased blood pressure, and all that. That's part of the
And the
efficacy.
FDA they bypassed the AdCom. So if they were
They,
concerned
they,
about that, they would have
they
had it.
bypassed that on EpiPen. They bypassed that on Neffy. Why would you do that for NFL? Is my point. So what I'm saying is you have a binary event coming up. Okay. So I had to put that out there, but I do believe there's a 99% chance that NFL will be approved. Actually, it's closer to 100%. But
So SPRY, they got their AdCom renounced as well? Or
their AdCom recommended approval,
okay, I got you.
but the FDA went against
I
AdCom.
got you.
Okay, so you know, but there's a big but here. FDA gave Aquestive a very strong signal that they like the drug, they like the innovation, by bypassing AdCom. Okay, so that Aquestive has that going for them. Also, too, Aquestive has an amazing relationship with the FDA too. So I feel good about it. But that dirty trick that IRS is pulling, unfortunately, the noises is in the FDA's ear. They have to review the letter.
I guess they're worried about the diastolic blood pressure spikes not seen with other epinephrine formulas.
Yeah. But let me ask you this, Dan. How many people throughout all the trials needed medical intervention with their side effects?
None.
Zero. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be zero. All right. In all of those trials. Okay. So, so I do feel good about it, but I just want to let you know out there, all of the possibilities, what could happen. All right.
The diastolic, yeah. What the ARS's petition urged a PK study of repeated doses at 5-minute intervals. I think, what are they doing here? Just delaying
they did ask for that. Every 5 minutes, I read the letter.
Yeah.
5-minute interval. Okay. That's BS. All right. So my question is, did EpiPen do that? Did the generic EpiPen do that? Did Neffy do that test? If you didn't ask those companies to do that test, you shouldn't be asking Anafilm to do that. You know?
Right. What's the strategy here? Just delaying the inevitable? They want to buy more time, or?
Oh yeah. Well, as predicted, I predicted that Anafilm will destroy everything in its path the moment it's approved.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And so ARS knows this. Spry knows it. I've done this for 18 years. I know what doctors want. I know the best delivery route.
Yeah.
It will destroy everything in its path. And it needs to. You know why? Because there's still conversation about asking companies, restaurants, airlines, buses to mark clearly the labeling of all the allergens. You will never get to that point at 100%. But what you can do is making NFM available everywhere. That is, to me, the best defense. Okay. So ARS knows the days are numbered. They know that. They know that. Okay. The convenience of drug delivery cannot be overstated how good it is. And that's why I'm so also bullish on Amtagvi and what Iovance does. One-time treatment trumps all. Okay? Just vicious cycle of repeating treatments and side effects and all that over and over and over again. Why not just do it one time?
Right. Interesting world to be in. For those that want to read the letter, citizen petition, you have it. With all that being said, man, never a dull moment in this industry. And I like it, man. I really enjoy at least these two tickers and KLR to have a little exposure to something else.
Well, yeah. And KLR, by the way, it almost became like a meme stock. I took profits.
I took profits
And
to buy
it
IOVA.
became like a meme stock, and that's scary. I don't want it to be a meme stock, but I want it to be a long-term investment. So I took profit, but I guarantee you, my daughter will have double amount of shares that she did. Okay, and
I'll be buying that one.
And I want to own a lot of it eventually.
The reason I didn't sell all of it was till I remember to buy more. It's in my not my watch list because I ignore it. My actual holdings. So
and
I
you
see it there.
yeah, and I took a bunch of my profits, and all of that went into Iovance. And by the way, I actually averaged up on Iovance. Okay, so I bought in a lot more at a higher price than my average. So I brought my average up. So, but I'm glad I did.
But, I have that one and ATAI as like something I have a little bit of, but I want to see what happens with some of this phase 3. Those things usually don't go very smooth. So if we expect some fluctuations of some volatility, I'll look for when ATI possibly gets a little cheaper. But I, as a thesis, I mean, what's not to like about that one? And the one Vivi mentioned, if you remember, that one's interesting to me too. I didn't buy any, but
it's RxRx.
There you go. That one's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's basically it's technology, it's drug delivery technology.
Yeah.
So but
and then Talia, man, thank God, I was kicking myself because I owned it at 7. I sold it like at 15 to buy Iova. And I hated myself because that shit went up to like 29. Today it's down 45%. High's law, which is something I never heard of, but it's when liver enzymes go 3 times above upper limit of normal, they halt the trial. Without other known, if it's not part of the actual disease, they halt the trial, and that's what happened today with Antalya. It's down a lot today, like 45% and 43% today, down to 14. So yeah, those gene ones, they're interesting as hell. I read the book by Doudna and Isaacson, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit early.
This is this is another reason to not diversify too much. You just focus on one or two biotech.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of research. And basically, if you what you said about Wayne Rothbaum in your video about his investment style, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah, I know.
Research, and then I go all in, because in biotech it's so dangerous that you diversify, you basically increase that risk even more, right?
Yeah, and then you get impatient and you take out of the wrong ones, and it's like because you have no conviction left anymore.
Yep. But anyways, hopefully
we gotta go. I appreciate it
about the EMA rejection.
I think it's a nothing burger, man. The American Journal of American Medical Journal (EU) rejects majority of U.S. fast-tracked cancer drugs. So there you go.
No big deal. No big deal.
All right, thank you very much, man. The AQST thing, though, I gotta look into more. That diastolic spikes. We gotta watch out for that case.
Yeah, I saw that. I read the entire letter, but to me, it's you go back to the trial, and you saw what. Okay, so the automatic question that the FDA is going to get is it should ask, and I asked, and I already got an answer to is those patients that had increased diastolic blood pressure, what happened to them? Right? I already got an answer to mild or moderate and never needed medical intervention. That is the answer that you need. Okay. But anyways,
do your research, people.
But thanks for watching.
Thank you for coming on, as always, sharing your knowledge, and we'll keep doing it. And thank you to everybody. Go follow Biotech Scanner if you're not already, and do your own research out there, guys. Bye bye.
Bye bye.